She's so fine. Hell of a hell of a blows my mind. Hell of a hell of a lights my day.
What's good, guys? Today is Saturday, February the 18th, 2023. This video, as you can tell, will be regarding the Shanquella Robinson case. Bear with me because I have a little bit of hoarseness going on with my voice, but I am going to be a big girl and keep pushing through this. So I wanted to take a look at a couple of things in regards to this case. Now, I'm going to play a couple of little segments of Nancy Grace's latest podcast. We are going to get into this. Who is dragging their feet in the Shanquella Robinson case? Now, I have very publicly made my opinion known. I believe the United States is the one that is dragging their feet. I think it's complete BS that Dejanay Jackson has not been extradited back to Mexico. And I stand on that. But when Nancy Grace was saying the same thing, that she is frustrated, what is the holdup? What is going on? And she spoke to her good friend Irv, and I've also had him on a video of mine as well, and I'm going to bring him and his opinion on this matter as well. So let's just take a listen to exactly what was said between the two of them, all right?
Does the name Shanquella Robinson mean anything to you? Because it means a lot to me. Irv Brandt, why have they not been arrested and extradited back to Mexico?
Okay, Nancy, I'm going to lay it out for you. This is speculation on my part, but it's speculation based on many years of experience with international extraditions. First of all, to extradite a crime within the treaty from one country to another, there has to be a common crime covered under the treaty. My understanding,
you don't think murder would rise to that, Irv Brandt? I mean,
well,
listen, I like you a lot, but I don't like anything you're saying.
Yeah, I understand that. It's complicated, Nancy. Give me a minute and I'll explain it to you.
Yeah, dumb me down for me, because I'm just not that smart, Irv Brandt.
Yeah, right. I'm talking to a lawyer. You're going to cut me to pieces.
I've seen a lot of ding-dong lawyers. They're not all smart, trust me.
What they charged was, help me out with the exact verbiage of the crime.
An arrest warrant has been issued and extradition proceedings have begun in Mexico for the murder of 25-year-old Shanquella Robinson.
It was
a homicide.
No. But the exact title, the exact charge out of Mexico was like...
It's got to be voluntary manslaughter. Femicide.
When a femicide.
Yes.
This is my point. This is what I'm getting to. Under the treaty, there's a list of crimes. You can't generalize. It has to be specific. You can't generalize this. Say, oh, well, femicide is murder. No. It's what the crime is charged. If that crime is not charged under the treaty, what Mexico has to do is reindict that charge and charge them with something that can be extradited under the treaty, like, let's say, murder. Now, I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm saying I'm giving you a possibility, and I'm giving you likely possibilities, because over my years of experience in this, we go through this little song and dance all the time, especially when it came to capital crimes, murder crimes, sex crimes, drug crimes, money laundering crimes. Lots of countries don't have similar, just the titles of them, and it has to be worked out, and sometimes that takes time.
Hey,
Now,
listen,
having
you might
said-
be onto something, Irv, and I want to remind you, Jack, remind me to circle back with him on this. I posed to you the other day, we were off air, what the HELL is going on with Shanquella's case. Why hasn't anything been done? The women all changed their cell phone numbers. They cut off their cell phones. They moved from their apartments. Nobody can find them, head nor tail of them. As far as I know, that's never stopped a bounty hunter from finding the person. But the killing of Shanquella is being investigated as a, quote, femicide. That is an unfamiliar term for many of us in the U.S. It is a gender-motivated crime, and it has not been defined by the U.S. legislators as a global issue.
Now, first and foremost, now that I understand it better, and I appreciate everyone in the comments that directed me to Nancy Grace's podcast, Crime Stories, so that I could listen to that piece. I went and I found exactly what they're speaking of. This says, presenting a request for prosecution in Mexico. As in a case for extradition, Article 4 requires that the criminal act for which a Mexican prosecution is sought be recognized as a criminal offense in both Mexico and the requesting country. These are essentially the same offenses for which extradition may be requested. While Article 4 has been traditionally invoked only in cases of serious crimes such as murder, kidnapping, and rape, prosecutors should consider lesser crimes that may be added to principal charges to extend the length of a sentence in Mexico. Now, let's just look at the comparison of a crime over here in the United States versus a crime in Mexico and the time involved in those crimes. We all remember that old saying, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. This is a comparison of Texas and Mexico penal code offenses and the range of punishment for those. So it starts off with capital murder. It tells you the exact section where it's found. And it says the range of punishment for capital murder is between life in prison or death. In Mexico, it is Title 19, Chapter 2, Article 320. And the time of the range of punishment is 20 to 50 years. So, quite a difference. Aggravated robbery in Texas ranges from 99 years to life in prison. In Mexico, it ranges from 2 to 15 years. Aggravated sexual assault in Texas, 5 to 99 years or life in prison. In Mexico, it is 8 to 14 years. And aggravated kidnapping in Texas, 5 to 99 years or life in prison. In Mexico, it's 6 to 40 years. So you can see how it's laid out there. Quite a bit of difference, actually. Quite a bit of difference.
HELL, yes. Now, they're trying to extradite one friend as a suspect, and the Attorney General for Baja California Sur told media that an arrest warrant was issued for the crime of femicide, the killing of a woman because of her gender. But you told me, off air, Irv Brandt, I was telling you this whole scenario, how angry I was, nothing had been done. I talked to Shanquella's mother and her sister. They're grieving and they're mourning and they're angry all at the same time. I told you about it and you said, I've done 1 million of these. I guarantee you, it's Mexico. It ain't us.
100%.
Explain why you said that, because I hadn't thought of it that way. I have been 3 inches up these people's tailpipes where these women, we think, are hiding. 3 inches, calling, emailing. Why aren't you making an arrest? Why aren't you doing extradition? And when you said that, it all crystallized. It's not us. I'm betting it's not us. I agree with you. It's Mexico. When do we ever get a darn thing out of Mexico? Nothing. So basically, once Mexico issues the arrest warrant, they're like, hey, it's on the U.S.
Close.
Now listen to this, or I think that you're going to end up turning out to be right. Unlike Mexico and other Latin American countries, the U.S. does not have a law recognizing femicide as any different from homicide. And that doesn't mean that the killings are not deemed a homicide. But in the paperwork application, Mexico needs to charge it not as femicide, but as murder, straight out murder, so we can get... I guarantee you it's Mexico. I do not believe that authorities here would let this go unavenged. I just don't believe it.
No, Nancy, I'm telling you, I used to do this for a living. The Mexican, it's Americans involved. If it was an American killing a Mexican, there would be a lot of pressure on, they'd be doing whatever. They'd re-indict the case, however it was, to bring that person back down to have a trial. These are Americans, and they're gone. And they have issued a warrant. They haven't issued a red notice. They have issued the
What's
warrant.
a red notice?
So
Tell me, what is a red notice?
It's an international lookout. Let's say these people traveled to another country, left the United States and traveled to another country. And those people could be detained until Mexico. Let's say they went to Jamaica because they know they're wanted for murder in Mexico. And they went to Jamaica and they had red notices. The Jamaicans would detain them until the Mexicans government could bring them over. But since they're Americans, there's no pressure. There's no public outrage. It's
You
not
mean no
high
public
on their
outrage in
priority.
Mexico?
Correct.
So
Correct.
they don't care.
So-
the only one that cares basically
I'm not
is
saying they
Shanquella's
don't care.
family. Yes, you are.
It's just not a high priority. And what I
That's
would
the
do
same thing.
yes.
You've got
what I
a
would do on
beautiful
behalf
dead
of
girl
OIA,
whose
yeah.
mother is
Yeah.
crying, whose sister is crying. They're in Huntersville, North Carolina, and I find it very hard to believe that North Carolina authorities are not trying to find these people. But the issue, you believe, is the extradition papers from Mexico?
Yes, I'm willing to bet on it. Because I would go and have meetings and explain to them the importance, how important it was to the United States. And I basically make a deal. If you submit the paperwork, we'll pay all the costs. We'll pay all the costs of the extraditions to come down. Many times when they'd agree, they'd look at me and say, you owe me now. Okay, I owe you. Understood. That's how it would work. And I did that all over the world.
So, Irv Brandt joining me, this is your expertise. What can we do to get justice for Shanquella? I don't know what we can do.
I am confident. Well, it's the pressure, Nancy. It's just the pressure of you keeping it on the front burner. I'm confident that the Office of International Affairs is contacting them continuously, trying to get, the package, for them to get the package done. So these people,
What package? What are you saying?
It's what the Mexican government has to submit to the Office of International Affairs. All their documents, all the probable cause, the video, things like this, all the legal documents for OIA to assign it to an AUSA to, work it up.
An
for
assistant
extradition
U.S.
warrant.
attorney. Investigators in Mexico say an arrest warrant has been issued, but no suspect named. No one has been apprehended. And this was very recently. So what is the holdup? So, Irv, can you give it to me in a bullet? Hit me. What can we do? What can be done? The governor, God bless him, is saying, gee, I hope it all turns out okay. We need a little bit more than well wishes, Irv Brandt.
Short version,
Yes.
the United States cannot arrest on a foreign government's arrest warrant. The United States can only arrest on an extradition warrant issued out of U.S. District Court. And the only way for that to happen is the Mexican government has to submit an extradition request to the Department of Justice Office of International Affairs. Until they do that...
You just said the U.S. government has to do it. I thought the Mexican government would do it.
No. The Mexican government must submit an extradition request to the Department of Justice Office of International Affairs so an extradition warrant can be issued out of U.S. District Court.
Okay.
Until the Mexican government does that, the U.S. cannot do anything about it.
And it's got to be on a charge that we will extradite on.
Under the treaty.
We're not obviously not recognizing femicide. It doesn't come under the treaty, so it's got to be homicide. The U.S. State Department number, if you want your voice to be heard, is 888-407-4747. Repeat, 888-407-4747. We want justice for Shanquella. Goodbye, friend.
The Attorney General for the state of Baja California Sur has to know that this is what needed to be done, okay? So with that being said, he charged her being Dejanay Jackson, with femicide. Is this just another dog and pony show? And now that I know this information, I'm rather irritated, because is this going to be the case that Attorney General Daniel De La Rosa Anaya is trying to maybe bring awareness to the crime of femicide? We know that Latin countries all have femicide in their penal systems. So it makes me wonder if this is his opportunity to make the United States open their eyes up and say, hey, we need to recognize femicide as a charge, as a crime, if you will. I don't know if that's the case. I honestly don't. But he does have a... it would make sense if that was what he was trying to do, because this is the perfect case to do that with. But that's unfortunate, because that is stopping the wheels of justice from turning. So I don't know specifically what the OIG's office has been saying to Mexico and what Mexico has been saying to them, but we've got to get it straightened out. Personally, I always questioned the crime of femicide, the charge of femicide, but I figure, they know better than me. Who am I to question that? But femicide is a very global problem. It's really a terrible thing, and it's very real. So I don't know if that's what's going on here, and maybe he's putting some pressure on the United States to recognize that, or if he's going to have to, in the end anyways, re-indict Dejanay Jackson for murder, or aggravated murder, whatever the charge is, that we also will recognize, so that we can get her down there. Maybe that is what the holdup is. But I did want to do a video just to go back and show you guys that I did hear the podcast, and thank you for turning my attention to it. I also want to make mention that Irv Brandt, who is an outstanding person to have speaking on this, he is saying these are his opinions, okay? This is not what we know to be fact for what's going on in the case, but he said he's willing to bet this is what's going on in the case. So it's not a fact, but in Irv Brandt's educated opinion, he thinks that's what's going on here, is the fact that the United States does not recognize femicide. And that's an important point to acknowledge, because some people will hear that and run with it and say, that's what's going on. We don't know that for a fact, but it is his educated opinion, and he did that job for 20 plus years, that is what's going on. So regardless, I am still on this case. I encourage everyone to contact the State Department, and I put it on the screen for everyone to see the number. Something has got to get done, and it saddens me because people fell off on this case. It started out so strong, and I don't know if people just don't have the attention span for it. I don't know, but if we had the same amount of people that we had in the beginning, man, we could really have done some damage with this, calling the State Department. Regardless, they did do the letter writing thing today, sending the letters off to Mexico. I still would send the letters to the FBI. Pressure on anybody, anybody at this point would be good. And I have a couple of other things that I want to discuss, but I'm not going to put them in this video because I just wanted to address this this extradition warrant. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video on that note. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.